So, all right, everybody who is still with us, thank you for sticking around for this podcast. And anybody who is just joining on the small sections of the podcast, thanks for joining us. You have landed in the Osprey nest, and we are sitting here today with one of the co-owners of a company in Richmond, Virginia called Dietitians on Demand. And what they do is they provide dietitianal staff across the United States. If you are a dietitian right now and you are looking for a job, go over to dietitiansondemand.com and get a hold of their people, fill out the paperwork on their website, and they might be able to find the dream position for you. And likewise, if you are looking for a dietitian, go to dietitiansondemand.com and talk to one of their regional managers. They will be able to find the right fit for your company for a dietitian. This company just celebrated its 15th anniversary. They have been on Inc.'s 5,000 fastest growing private companies for 5 consecutive years. They were also named Richmond's 25 fastest growing companies in 2015 and 2016. All their clients are saying Dietitians on Demand is always delightful, prompt, reliable, and kind. And I can tell you by knowing the staff here, they love their jobs, and that helps get good people with the right companies and making good fits. So if you are looking for a dietitian, head over to dietitiansondemand.com. And thank you, Ryan Davis, the co-owner, for being with us today. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing very well. There's a secret to how I get such good reviews from all my employees.
What's the secret? The secret?
I pay them.
That's important. Pay is important for sure.
It tends to be. Only an entrepreneur is going to show up to work for free. So,
that's right.
I know you listen to Gary Vee, and he says, if you want your people to care as much about your company as you do, then just give them 50% of it.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. I do listen to him a lot. You actually turned me on to him, so that's good. That's been a big help. And let me just mention, Ryan has been a huge help with me in starting Osprey IT Consulting. He was a big help in pushing me through that scary door of taking that first step and opening my own company and going out on my own. It's very scary. Ryan did that 15 years ago, him and his wife, Alicia. And why don't you tell us a little bit? Well, first, let's talk about your shirt, since we told everybody to go to the website. Let's.
Dietitian is usually spelled wrong. It's usually spelled with a C. And until you get used to it, that is the way it looks like you should spell it, Dietician. But actually, in the industry, they spell it with a T, so 2 T's. So Dietitian, and of course, I'm saying that's how we would spell it. That's how we spell it here. It's kind of like fingernails on a chalkboard to a dietitian to see it written with a C. I think they may use that spelling like in the UK, but in America we definitely use it with the T.
Yeah. So. Yep. So anybody going to the website, make sure you use the T, not the C. Use the T, not the C.
Yeah. Half the checks that we get from clients have the name spelled wrong. Half the time, even if I spell it out for people the right way, they still get it wrong. And you may think, like, why would you want to name your business after something that, it's a word that's so hard for people to spell? But, we're trying to market ourselves towards dietitians, and they certainly don't have any problem with that. And I think they appreciate us using the right spelling.
Yeah, that's important. So tell me about Dietitians on Demand. How did this whole thing come about, where you decided, okay, I want to, start finding jobs for dietitians and getting people hired?
Well, it certainly wasn't my idea. It was Alicia's idea, Alicia, my wife. So we got married in 2002, mm-hmm. and shortly after that, I think there was a time where we wanted to take a vacation, and she said to her boss, "Can I have time off?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's no problem, but you're gonna have to find someone to fill in for you while you're out."
Right.
And so she's like, "Oh, okay. So we have to do that. We have to find our own coverage and." Makes sense because I'm the only dietitian in this building. She was at a rehab hospital. I think it was at Sheltering Arms at the time. Mm-hmm. And so she had to go out and find her own coverage, and she got the person in there and realized that they were paying the temporary dietitian more than what she was getting as a permanent regular employee. And so she's like, well, I'm going to start doing this for, on the side and try to make a little bit more extra money. And then she started getting more work that she could handle doing consulting on her own. And so we're like, well, what if we put it together a business that does this and finds dietitians and matches them with hospitals who are in need of their services. So we formed that in May of 2005. So just hit 15 years, and for the first couple of years, it was all her. She was working most of the accounts, and we had a few other local dietitians. And then I wasn't exactly setting the world on fire with what I was doing.
Right.
And
What was it you were doing at the time? What were you?
oh, it's embarrassing for. I had 7 jobs in 8 years prior to working at Dietitians on Demand. So it was sales stuff. I actually worked in construction for a little while. I went back to school to get my master's degree, and that's when I was in construction. I also sold real estate. I worked at Wachovia. My title was financial specialist, but I was the checking account opener guy.
Right.
So, like, would you like to start this free student checking account with $50 or $75? So that's what I did, and then. So I just started to see an opportunity in what she was doing with DoD, and I said, well, you're continuing to work on the consultant side, and then maybe I can get involved in trying to do marketing.
Right.
And so we marketed to Northern Virginia, D.C., and Baltimore, and we found some needs up there. And then that was in 2007 we started doing the marketing, and then we grew multiple fold at the end of 2007 from where we had been. And then in 2008, we kind of went regional and never looked back from there. So
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing that you guys went from just a few accounts from what Alicia needed to do to what it is today. You have how many employees here in the Richmond area at your corporate office?
The corporate office is a team of 15.
Yeah, that's pretty big for 15. So basically one per year.
Yeah, we went slow. For the first couple of years, the business was based out of our home, and then we moved. And my first office was 700 square feet, and it was in a basement in an office building. It was an English basement though, so it was like kind of an upgrade.
Yeah,
you had some windows. I had terrible internet connection down there, and bright red carpet with like stark white walls and this blood red carpet, but hey, we were doing it on our own. We had our own little place of business, and we got to put our little sign on our door, and it felt cool. Yeah,
that's got to feel really good. Now you and your wife have children. How old was your oldest when you started Dietitian on Demand?
So DoD came first, and then came Haley.
Yeah.
So Haley was born in 2006, and I think one of the goals was when we originally got the idea that Alicia had more work that she could handle. We're like, maybe we can put together a business that could replace her income when we had Haley, just in case she wanted to have the option of working or not working, should she choose to do so. And so we were able to do that, and she didn't have to go work in facilities anymore. Of course, she traded working in facilities for working on the business. There's actually this classic photo of Haley in one of those, it's been a long time since I had kids, those things that you hold them on the front of those little
knapsack things.
This little sling or whatever, and Haley was in there like sound asleep, and Alicia's like at an old desktop, and got her head to the side and got the phone up, and like she's clearly like
I need to get that picture from you. I'm gonna put it in the video.
Well, she's clearly doing two things at once, and then as kids started to grow and not be napping all the time, I started to just pick up more of what was going on in the business. And then over the years, she's been involved in many of the times when we really needed more support to get over to that next hump. Such as like when we went national in 2013 by picking up a few strategic contracts. She came back and led the recruiting effort there for a while. And so she's always just been there to give the business whatever it needs. Like even last year, she covered a maternity leave. One of our employees had a baby, and she covered for that.
Wow.
So she's always been very willing to step up. She got us started, and has definitely played a big role in helping us get to where we are today.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. You started a business, then you started a family. And so you're starting a family, you're starting a business, and all that stress and everything of both of those things on top. And you've pulled it off in the last 15 years. You're just like, what kind of struggles, what kind of things, like, was there any time then when you were like, oh, we can't do both of this. I want one or the other, and what was it? Was there something that got you through that? What was it that got you through that hump of, we need to keep going on this. This is something that we really want.
Yeah,
I
can remember times when the business was based out of the house, and we would have like the phone ring upstairs, and we'd look at each other and be like, it'd be like 5:30 and the phone rings. We're looking at each other like, well, are you going to get it?
Right.
Are you going to get it? And so, that was just a stress there. And then once it got to the point where it was more than what one person could handle, we needed an employee. Then we're like, all right, now it needs to move off-site.
Right.
But, she and I started it together. It was her idea, but I kind of tagged along and like helped her get things set up and that sort of thing. So it's always, we've had this kind of butting heads at times over who's in control, but as the business has grown, we've realized that what we need to do is provide management and oversight to our employees who are actually executing the daily duties.
Right.
And so we've come to a piece about I run the day-to-day, but we talk about the big things together. Right. So any big decisions that we have to make, she's definitely at the table with, and I come to her with all my crazy ideas, and she shoots down 80% of them, and then all the lots of good ones go through.
Right.
So she saved us definitely a lot of time and money over the years, and helping me avoid stupid.
Yeah, wives tend to do that sometimes. It's got to be. And for anybody out there listening who's thinking about starting their own company, who's got a family and everything, I mean, you're definitely proof that it can be done with your family life, as long as you are diligent and you are, steadfast and pursue very hard. You can make it. There's no reason, if you want it bad enough, you can get it.
Yeah, I had the benefit of I didn't really have a lot to walk away from, and so this was once we got the idea for this, we knew that this was going to be it. But we went very, very slowly. Really, we're very debt averse.
Yep.
We held on to 100% of the company, and there was a time a few years in, like when we were like 4 or 5 years in, where someone come and was expressing interest in buying us out, and I was thinking, man, maybe I can get $1 million. Maybe I can get $1 million for this. I was like, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be life-changing. And now I'm like, our sales are, 8, 9 times that.
Right.
And, I don't know what the business is worth, but I'm guessing it's worth some sort of multiple of whatever.
Right.
I don't really care because I'm not planning on selling it. Right. So, but, we avoided the easy money up front. We kept our nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
There were times when we were growing like wildfire, and there were years there where I didn't think we were going to grow at all.
Yeah.
I think it took us 3 years to get to 1,000 hours in sales, billable hours every pay period, which is 2 weeks, and then it took us like 5 years to get to 2,000.
Right.
And then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and 5 came quickly. Now I'm kind of stuck between 5 and 6.
Right.
And this was going to be my year. This was going to be my big year. Like I got the right team in place last year. I got the right team. I found them. We have a wonderful team. It's almost too wonderful. Like these people just really genuinely love to be around each other and love to be a part of what we're doing here. And so I got them, and then I trained them up, and then we really had a big second half, and our fourth quarter of 2019 was huge. So we come to 2020. Our business kind of resets at the beginning of the year because Christmas no one wants to work for that time frame, so it resets what we do in staffing. So I'm thinking that we're going to have a huge year, and then boom, here comes Corona. Yeah. And so then we move into that, and I'm thinking like, okay, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Luckily, I had a house that we had lived in for a long time before we moved back into town. I was Airbnb-ing that. I sold that. Mm-hmm. And I got the money from the sale of that just as we were entering this shutdown.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I have a little bit. Mm-hmm. I have like 4 days of operating income or something like that. And then I sold some vehicles. I gathered together this little nest. I'm like, all right, well, I suppose if everyone stops ordering dietitians or all the dietitians stop working, I can pay my people for like a month or two. Right. Just my corporate team, and I can do that without going bankrupt. Mm-hmm. And then, maybe they'll just have to get unemployment, and then we'll just have to wait for things to come back. Yeah. What happened was dietitians are essential workers.
Yeah.
So they stayed around, and we did see a big impact from facilities closing down and not taking on new patients, and so census is dropping, and so them needing less coverage. So we did experience a decline, about a 20% decline in billable hours, and is where we are right now, and we've seen our new order pipeline drop to about the lowest that it's been since about 2012.
Right.
So it's been scary to see that, and it's been scary to watch the pipeline drop. And then I was worried about, are they going to, the hospital's going to keep paying their invoices, or are we going to be able to collect? Everything's been working out.
Right.
The dietitians are still going to work. There are healthcare superheroes that are out there representing our brand all over the country, and we were able to get some of that PPP money from the government to help us assure that should they stop working, or should the hospital stop paying our invoices, that we'll be able to continue to meet payroll.
Yeah.
We have 15 here on the corporate staff, but there's 150 of them out in the field.
Yeah.
Any given week. So that's 165 people that I'm responsible for paying.
Yeah.
And so just making sure that we have the ability to weather that storm. The PPP money was so helpful. It was unbelievably helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. That's amazing to hear that, out of everything that's going on, you were worried about, well, do I have enough money to at least keep my staff paid for a little while? And I mean, that's something I hear. You mentioned Gary Vee earlier. Like, if he's always said, if you're not willing to get rid of stuff and change your lifestyle to keep your business or keep, your money or whatever, then that's really important.
Like, how much equity do I have in my house?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I get into that? I have a line of credit for the business, and that would have gotten us a little while.
Yeah.
But from the amount of payroll that we're running with 165 people, that wouldn't have lasted very long. We could have maybe gotten by for a month, and then I had my little squirrel's nest.
Right.
This money that I set aside personally, and I was like, all right, I could use this, and maybe buy myself another 2 weeks. But if what we do is we create paychecks, right? Our work creates paychecks for people. Like, we find jobs, they go and work the job, we bill, and then we create the paycheck. And so the support that we were able to get from the government came at just the right time. We happened to be fortunate to be one of those companies that was still operating and still able to use those funds. Mm-hmm. Like restaurants, who are mandated to be closed, it's like, well, they get the PPP money and they get 8 weeks to pay it, but what good does that do? Because you can't even give the people a job anyway to come back and work.
Right.
And so then it's like, do you just give it to them? But then you don't have any of that money left over for when your business does actually open up again.
Right.
So we've been very, very blessed. I've always said that we're very lucky to be working with dietitians because they're sharp, they're professional, they're in demand. There's not a ton of them out there.
Right.
We've found this really great niche, and 15 years of supporting it, and it's been really a fun ride.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that brings me to another point. You were able to break out of the office environment when this whole Corona thing happened.
Well, they would have broke out. You see how empty it is back there?
Yeah.
I think we got one or two here today.
Yeah, I think there's one or two walking around out there. They're definitely more than 6 feet apart, so that's good. But you were able to break out easily and not miss a beat because your whole IT infrastructure is in the cloud. You're not tethered to the office. The office is just a place to maintain your culture and have your people get together and have meetings and sit together so that there's a bond between you guys. But as far as your IT infrastructure, it's all outside the office in the cloud. So it's a lot easy. It was a lot easier for you to say, okay, go home. And
when the shutdown happened, it was just okay. Pick up your computer and your iPhone and go home.
Yeah.
So we started that way years ago because the way I like to work, I mentioned that house that I sold that was a farm in beautiful Louisa County, and it was a long way from town. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't want to commute every day. When I was commuting into that basement office that I had, I was like, I don't want to be in the basement. I want to be on the farm, right?
Right.
So I set it all up so that way I could do that. I could work either here in town or there at the farm. And we just sort of kept that and never really went back to physical infrastructure in the offices. So our applicant tracking software is all in the cloud, and the the payroll. We have a payroll company, a subscription company for that. Obviously our website is hosted by somebody else, and we use Office 365. So everything is in the cloud, and it's all different clouds. Even our financial software, which was on QuickBooks, which was on a desktop in the office, we got rid of that, and that's in the cloud now too. So there's the only thing that we really physically need to get here for is to collect checks in the mail.
Right.
But that's probably 20% of our customers pay that way.
Right.
So we're pretty agile.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. A lot of companies that I work with, they went into panic mode when all this happened because they don't even give their employees laptops. They just use towers.
Why would they do that? What's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, and I'm trying to push a lot of them to go to laptops because of that exactly. It's like, why would you buy something that keeps you locked in right here at the office? When you're
is it control? Is it that they want to?
I don't know. It's. I think maybe it's also an older mentality of they've been doing it this way for so long. Why change? And they don't really change. A lot of companies that I've worked with, even with you guys, when I came in, I found, you're paying for this and you're paying for this and you're paying for this, but it's all under here.
Yeah.
And you can cancel all of this other stuff. Stop paying for it because you already got it all in this package that you're paying for here.
Yeah.
Which was Office 365.
Yeah. When we went with you, we were able to drop like 3 different vendors.
So when did you guys start needing IT? I mean, obviously you were using phone calls and stuff back in 2005. Did you have an IP phone like you have now? Or
we started off with just a regular another line from Verizon getting installed to the phone jacks, and we had like a separate phone jack run to our bedroom, right? Our upstairs bedroom. And one time when Haley was little, I was out and Alicia was there. Her mom was there, and her, Gail, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But, the phone rang and, Gail picked it up and it's like, hello. And they're like, is this Dietitians on Demand? I'm calling for Alicia. And like, she's not here. This is her mother. I was like, oh, well, they didn't know that we were a fly-by-night operation.
No, they do now.
No, they do know. But then I went to the virtual PBX, which is like the one I use now, and still is Grasshopper. I don't think that was the first one I used, but I eventually moved to them. So they answer the phone and then have the auto attendant, and they can press, and it forwards directly to the extension of the employee, and then that extension can forward any number that they ever want.
Okay.
So just their cell phone.
Right.
And because everybody has unlimited minutes on their cell phone,
right,
which didn't used to be that way, right? Everyone has unlimited minutes. They just use their phone, and I just give them a technology stipend, like $60 a month for you using your phone for work,
wow,
right? And then I don't have to get involved with hardware or keeping them in a new phone or whatever. I just give them that, and then
let them use their personal stuff in that.
Yeah, I looked at changing that once into a different system that worked a different way, and I wanted them to answer the calls on their computers, but that didn't go very well. I think we were with that system for about 48 hours. It's just too different from the way that we were operating.
Yeah.
And they were like, this was great. We love this. We want to go back. So we went back running back.
So when did you start using computers for your work? 2005, were you guys just using a laptop or nothing at all? Did you?
Yeah, well, it would have been a desktop and then just office products. And then we were very heavy into printing resumes back then.
Yeah.
And we would have stacks of resumes and manila folders with, this is our Richmond dietitians, these are our Tidewater, this is the dietitians we know in DC. And so we get a job and just start flipping through our paper resumes and saying, who do we know?
Right.
And there was a small, very tight-knit network then. We knew every one of those dietitians and knew their backgrounds. But then as it grew and got more people, we had to go to some sort of system. We couldn't just obviously have thousands of resumes on paper files all over. So we went to an applicant tracking system called Sendouts in 2008, and then they got bought out years later by Bullhorn, and we're still with Bullhorn. Yeah. So we signed up with them in 2008. We've never changed applicant tracking companies.
That's 12 years with the same company.
That's 12 years. I mean, that's why investors love software as a service.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? Because it's a monthly thing. You keep paying. You have the big cost to develop it, but then once it's developed, you just have to maintain and upgrade, and people keep paying it.
Yeah. And
then the more you use it, the more of your stuff gets in there. The more you customize it, the more you bring other vendors and things to work with that. Mm-hmm. The stickier it gets.
Yeah.
And the first question that my staff asks whenever we look at a new technology, a piece of technology, and like, does it interact with Bullhorn?
Yeah.
If it doesn't interact with Bullhorn, I don't want to look at it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And so kudos to Bullhorn for catching me in their fly trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've been great. We've enjoyed working with them, and they're one of the largest applicant tracking companies out there.
Yeah.
And then, having more employees and you have more computers and you want them to be able to share files and things like that. So
Right.
remember at the basement office, you and I have been friends for 20 years. You came out and installed what we used then.
Oh yeah, we ran cable up in the overhead, put in drops in the walls,
Yeah.
and put in a small business server 2008, I think it was 2008 or 2006 maybe. That thing was a pig. That was a hog, but
Yeah.
it had your email on it, had your domain on it, and I think it was just you and 2 other employees at the time.
It was just me and Kathleen, really.
You and Kathleen and Alicia. That was it, 3 people. But yeah, you had your email on there, you had your domain, everything, all your files, everything was on that one machine, and then eventually we got you off of there, and you're in 365 in the cloud now. What did you go to after that? You went to Rackspace, right?
Yeah. GoDaddy Mail for a while.
Okay, yeah.
And then with them, they had limits on how many emails you could send a day.
Yeah.
And like when we get a job and we know, like, let's say we get a job in Chicago, we know 75 dietitians in the area. We'll email all 75 of them.
Right.
And so you do that like twice a day or in 2 different cities for 2 different jobs. And you could send a couple hundred emails a day.
Yeah.
And they're legitimate emails. They're not spamming. We're notifying all the people that we know about this job that we're trying to fill. But then GoDaddy would put us in email jail.
Yeah.
Like you sent more than 200 emails today, your email's blocked out, and you're going to email jail.
Yeah.
And we had this recruiter, Louise. So she spammed a little bit. She would email quite a lot, and she'd always be in email jail. So then we moved to different providers. You go with one, and then I think while everything's working, you don't really seek out to change to another provider. But when you see an upgrade or see that something's broken, then you go and switch.
Yeah. Yeah, move to whatever works better for you. So, but 365's been working good for you.
Yeah.
Now it's synced up with your domain and.
Yeah, it's very smooth. I feel like Microsoft always has more features and benefits that about because they don't do a really good job about getting the word out about all the services, all of the stuff that they can do.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I don't even know what percentage of it we're using, but I know since we've been with Osprey, we've been using more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. There's a lot of stuff that they have. It's pretty amazing what you get for $15 a month to use in your business. All the tools that you get to use with Office 365, especially the business plan. I'm actually impressed with it because coming up being in IT for 20 years, I remember back in the day looking at a box with a CD in it. It's got Visio in it, and it's got a $600 price tag on it. And you're like, this is one program that makes Visio flowcharts, and it's $600.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck
isn't it amazing?
What am I really getting here?
Isn't it amazing how technology changes and becomes cheaper? We were one of the bored quarantine days. We got out a box of old family home movies, and I actually still have a VCR.
Yeah.
My kids used to call them fat movies, and they'd watch the fat movies or the skinny movies.
Right.
The fat movies were the old Disney ones that we picked up at a yard sale for $1, and they would watch those. Anyway. We were looking at the camcorder that my father had in the 80s, 1990, like Christmas 1990, and he's got this camcorder. It's like this big, and like he's holding it like this, and my kids are just like, what? What is that? Like they couldn't wrap their heads around like this big giant thing, and he had to look through.
Yeah.
With one eye closed, and that's how he recorded. And like we went to Disney World, my dad recorded like 12 hours of video.
Holy cow!
Over the trip.
Yeah.
That might even be conservative, more than that. And he just stood there like this. Maybe it's because he just didn't want anyone to talk to him. But anyway, and then we're watching these videos and we see like the TV that we had like back then. And I was like, I remember my dad bought that TV. It was a big deal. It was like $950 for a 27-inch tube television.
Yeah.
Like I paid less than that for a 60-inch flat screen.
Yeah.
I remember we got a CD player for Christmas. It was a big freaking deal. It was like, $300, and like, that might have been like a week's pay for my mom.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Can you imagine putting a week's pay towards something that can play music?
Yeah. And now, who uses CDs anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no one uses CDs anymore. Like
Yeah.
even that medium's gone.
No,
Like,
my Jeep doesn't even have a CD player in it.
Yeah.
My new 2019 Rubicon,
Yeah.
no CD slot.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, even I remember I borrowed my mom's car. She had a tape deck in her car. This was a couple years ago, and my son Cody, we were driving it. I took it to get something done for her. I think it was the brakes or something. I took it to go get it done, and I was bringing it back to her house, and Cody was riding with me, and we pulled up into her driveway, and he pulled the cassette out of the cassette player, and he was pressing on the cassette, and I was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing, Cody? And he's like, well, this is what opens the garage door, right? And I'm like, no, that plays music. And he's like, what? What is this? Like, it's a cassette. You play it, and I showed him, and he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know what I've never
Did
seen
you
that
know what that
before. I'm
was?
like, yeah, it's been around for like 40 years.
Well, that reminds me, like when we were watching those home videos, like one of them got eaten by the VCR.
Yeah.
And like I pulled it out, I tried to pull it out, and it wouldn't come out, and I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
this is gone forever.
Yeah.
I guess theoretically I could send somewhere where to get it fixed. It doesn't matter because it was one of my brother's old soccer videos.
Right.
And like we've got like 35 of those, so
Right.
no one really cares.
Yeah. So what about that one?
They
But,
don't care anymore.
so you guys are in year 15. That's amazing, and you've really knocked it out of the park. I think I've based a lot of the stuff off of what you've done for my company, especially as far as like financial wise and everything. You've really taught me a lot.
I think it's so important to have good mentors. I've
Yeah.
never officially had a mentor-mentee relationship, but I plugged in with several organizations that really helped me be around other people who were doing things. The first and foremost would be the Rotary, the local Richmond Rotary, just not for what the club does and for the activities that it performs. They do a lot of great service work, but like I really got to know a lot of people in Richmond. I met for the first time, really, I met some other business owners, and I could talk to them, and I could learn about what was going on in their business and how they get started and share ideas with and that sort of thing. So I built some relationships there. Then once we got going and I started to get some traction under me, I joined the Virginia Council of CEOs, and I was a member of that organization for about 5 years. And same thing, some great relationships that I made there. But also there they introduced me to really good speakers and business education, and the learning that they put out and the conferences that they have are great.
Right.
So like a commercial for that. But it's really important to get around someone else who's been where you want to go.
Okay.
And learning from them. Raleigh, who's our COO here, he's involved with the American Staffing Association in their mentorship program, and he actually has a mentor at a staffing company that's about 2-3 times the size bigger than where we are, and he's talking with their COO there, and he's learned a lot, and it's been valuable for him. Right now, I'm not in the Council of CEOs, and so that's definitely a little bit of a void that I have, and I need to go fill that with like where am I going to do my learning, because I don't know what it's like to run a $50 million company.
Right.
I would like to someday. But like the only way I'm going to learn about what that's like is to get around someone who is doing
Who's done it, yeah, and talk to them. When you were getting in part of these groups, like how did you find out about the groups in the Richmond area that you could be a part of or you could join? If somebody's just starting their company and they're like, okay, I want to do some of that stuff too. Where would they go to try to find these groups to get involved?
Well, anywhere in the world or in America, you can go with your local chamber and start go to some events and just like look at who's involved, look at what types of companies are there, write down things that you hear about where to go. I mean, I got it, so the Virginia Council of CEOs was a big part of my development as a CEO. I learned about them through Mark Deutsch, who is someone that I was in Rotary with.
Okay.
So it's like, there you go. So it's like I got involved in the community on some level. I started to meet people and be around business folks, and you just from there, you learn. I mean, Raleigh, my COO, I met him through Rotary. My financial advisor, Ron, I met him through Rotary.
Yeah.
So I met like 60 to 70 business professionals in the Richmond area, and I've struck up relationships with all of them, and that's been really instrumental. I was in Rotary for 10 years.
Yeah.
And that played a big part.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. So Chamber of Commerce is a good place to start.
Sure.
Go to the website.
Chamber of Commerce, Rotary, all of that stuff is good for someone that needs to learn from others. Because you can consume all the media that you want online, and you can certainly read all the stuff that you want, but you got to get it around humans.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to build relationships, and because you need to listen to them, and then you need to build trust with them, and then open up with them.
Right.
Like Gary Vee can inspire you all you want, but he's not going to listen to you.
Right.
Right. Because he's not going to be there sitting across the table.
Right.
From you, and that's something that you definitely get in these local organizations.
Yeah. That's kind of a weird dynamic, I feel, especially in today's work environment, how and with IT, how things are separating as far as social interaction. You have social media, but there's nothing really physically social about it. You're not actually talking to people one-on-one.
It's unsocial media.
It's unsocial completely. I mean, people who usually would be, tucked away in their house and not want to talk to anybody have a voice now with social media, and you can yell and scream all they want about anything on social media and still stay introverted in their house nonetheless. Sure. But I think it's really weird that the dynamic of businesses and people working from home and how that separation, but yet you still need that, like you said, you still need that personal interaction to get your business going, to get clients, you still need that stuff. So it's getting harder and harder to.
I don't think you can replace the casual one-on-one conversation or interaction that you have with someone when you're with them in person. Yeah. Period. We use Zoom. Mm-hmm. We work from home. Like all of my staff is working from home. I never closed the business down for COVID. There's only 13 of us that come to this physical office every day. Right. So you're all adults. You can do what you want. Right. So they all went home. Tell you what I want.
I'm going home. All right. That's what I want to
do. So they all went home, and I eventually did too. Everyone but Debbie, our CPA, she stayed because she checks the mail and that sort of thing. Anyway, where was I going with that?
We were talking about the separation and
right. Yeah. So what we've noticed is that there's been times where there's been some issues and challenges related to communication, and it's just like that if she were here and she were here, they would have picked up on it from each other. Right. But if you have to reach out and schedule a Zoom meeting, and the Zoom room's got to be available, or if you just shoot it over as a text message, we use this thing called flock instead of Slack, right? So we flock things. So if you send them a flock, you may miss things. But if you spend all day in the same room and then you walk by, oh, hey, I did do this. Yeah. Are you cool with that? So we've had a few instances. They haven't been major, and they have not been obstacles that can't be overcome. But it's just not natural. I heard someone else say that workplaces exist for a reason, right? Yeah. And I think that while we can be very productive while we're at home, and you certainly get that commuting time back, and you can 7:30 a.m. coffee and log on and start working, it's also hard to quit. Sometimes there's a challenge between just interacting with your personal life and then your work life, such as when we had the business in the home, and then the phone would ring, like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Yeah. I think there's a reason that workplaces exist. I told my staff that when Phase 3 opens up and then the governors kind of removed the guideline about teleworking, that I expect them to come back and start using this office. Yeah. We don't spend $6,500 a month for this thing to sit empty. Right. But I said, I think this has changed my perspective a little bit on work from home. And, so if you want to work from home one day a week or two at the most, probably okay with that now, whereas I probably wasn't in the future. I was terrible at working from home. Yeah. Especially at the farm, because I had a lake, and so I'd go fishing, or I'd be out doing some chores. I'd be on my four-wheeler. I'd be getting into trouble. So I just never really liked working from home personally, although I have been doing it some over the last couple months, and I've found the time to be productive. Yeah, that was a big struggle for me when I worked for HP, and I started working from home. It wasn't until I figured out, okay, I need to take this separate room in my house, and I need to make it my office. And when I cross the threshold of that door, I'm at work, and that's work, because you're never going to get anything done sitting on the couch with your laptop watching TV or folding laundry. Or you got to sit down and focus on your work. You just have to realize, segregate that. Okay, my commute to work isn't get in the car and drive to work. It's walk down the hall and open a door. Yeah. But when you're at work, you're at work. And, that's a big thing, I think, for people. But if people can get over that hump,
I think employees are much happier when they don't have to deal with traffic and commute and get up early to get ready and get your car
Sure.
and come into the office and set everything up. And like that whole, just before you start your day, there's enough, pain in the ass stuff you got to do, you know, just to start work. And then you got to deal with your day and then go home. But,
And if my team works from home more, I can probably put more team in this office.
Yeah.
In terms of space considerations, if everyone's not at their desk all day.
Right.
My brother-in-law used to work in New York, and one time I saw his office, and I think he had about 18 inches.
Mm-hmm.
That was his work area.
Yeah.
So they weren't very socially distant.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have a full 6-8 feet in between people here, but if they're working from home more, I can potentially increase that count.
Yeah.
When it's safe to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that is different for each employee, though, because I know a lot of people who just can't do it, and they're just like, I need to be in an office. And there's people, too, there's times, I work from home a lot, but there's times it's like I need to go in and check on my customers because I need social interaction. I'm the type of person I need social interaction. Sure. I can't go 6 weeks without seeing another human being. That'll drive me insane. So it's important to do that. But awesome. I appreciate you coming in and talking.
Thank you for having me.
Let me use your space. We're here in your office today, and I'm going to get some footage of your office and your space. It's excellent. I think it's really impressive, too, how you don't actually have any offices in your office. Everybody's in a cube, including you. Mm-hmm. You are with your employees, hitting a grindstone, equally in a cube with everybody else, and you've got these rooms for meetings, for phone calls and stuff. And I think that's that's amazing that that kind of makes everybody feel like, okay, we're all a team here. Yeah. We're all together.
No, I definitely just put my feet up on my desk, watch Netflix, and then watch them go to work.
Cracked away from behind the cubicle wall.
There you go.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Ryan Davis, Dietitians on Demand. Like I said, anybody who is a dietitian out there looking for a job, it doesn't matter where you are in the United States, go to Dietitians on Demand and check it out. And if you are in need of a dietitian, definitely go to dietitiansondemand.com, spelled with a T, not a C, and let them help you out. Again, you've been listening to the Ospreys Nest, and thanks a lot for joining, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Listen,